How many of you have had friends or relatives or neighbors that have been in the service since 9/11 or in the service at all, any time in life? A lot of them. The majority of us know someone who's been in the service. Think about those people. John Kerry didn't care about those people. John Kerry, JFK, John Forbes Kerry, voted for the war just for Kerry. Like he does everything else, just for Kerry. That's relevant experience. I was on the radio with WUML, UMass Lowell, the other day. I told this story to them, and the woman goes, public radio, let me remind you. She goes, forget senator, I want you for president. I said, well, thank you very much, but I'm happy to be the senator. You know, but this highlight, now public radio, this is how she reacts to this. This highlights how people across the Commonwealth are responding to this notion of relevant experience. And also someone who has the courage. She said, but wouldn't you have been in trouble with a Republican president if you had voted against the war? And you know what I said to her? I said, do you really want to elect senators who are rubber stamps? I'm nobody's rubber stamp. I will do what I think is the right thing for the people that sent me to Washington. And we've had 500 families in Massachusetts who have had someone killed or injured in the war because Kerry voted for it just for Kerry. And you don't think that doesn't resonate with people here who think about their kids and grandkids and family who are going to go to war? They need a senator, whether we're talking about quality of life issues on the economy or immigration, or whether we're talking about life and death issues, voting to send people to war. They need a senator who will look out for them, not look out for himself. And that's where we're making progress in this campaign. And let me just finish up with one other example, relevant experience. In my business, April of 2000, we wrote every major airline. Ran a small security company, we did pretty good work. We wrote every major airline warning them that we assessed they were going to lose one or more aircraft to terrorist cockpit incursion, where the airplane was going to be used as a weapon, and that they needed to change their onboard procedures vis-a-vis apparent hijacking, and they needed to harden the cockpit door. Have any of you heard about in the 90s there was an attempt to crash into the Eiffel Tower with an airliner? Well, some of you may recall this. So it wasn't like rocket science for us to connect those dots either. But we wrote every airline, and of course I was in business, right? So I wanted to make a big profit on selling fear to the airlines. I was actually trying to sell them a $29.50 brace that we developed for classrooms to keep kids safe, and is deployed in hundreds of classrooms against Columbine-type shooting incidents. So it's called the Insta-Brace. I wrote the airlines, I said, I really think you need to put this on. I think you're going to lose airplanes. American Airlines writes me back. We have a 4-month dialogue. I send them a prototype. They install it on one of their aircraft. They write me back in August of 2000. They say, Mr. Beatty, thank you very much for thinking of us. You know, we've tried this, it works. However, we have to put some reinforcement around the door frame. That's going to cost us about $500 all total, $470 plus your $29.50, you know, $500. And besides, the FAA isn't making us do it. So, thank you, but we're not going to do it. August of 2000. So what happens 13 months later? September of 2001, September 11th, the first airliner into the World Trade Center is American Airlines. Now, ironically, guess who was flying it? Anybody know?
John Kerry. Yeah.
My Republican opponent's brother.
Right.
So, I mean, that's irony. And I'm very sympathetic. Very sympathetic. The World Trade Center was a client of mine. I lost a fellow who was, I'm an only child. He's as close as I got to a brother, who was the director of life safety and security there. He did everything he could to harden the ground perimeter. He had to rely on other people. He said to me, Jeff, I can't put an anti-aircraft battery on the roof of the World Trade Center. He said that to me in July of '01. While I'm sympathetic, I think what it comes down to is we need a senator who understands and has the relevant experience, who can look at the FAA administrator in August of 2000 and say, Why haven't you hardened the cockpit doors when we saw that this almost happened in France? Who can look to the Secretary of Defense and say, why are you committing troops without U.S. eyes on the target? This is what we need in a senator. Relevant experience, someone who has the courage and the leadership to stand up for what's right, to stand up for what's in your interest, and that's what I pledge to do for you as your next United States Senator. Winnable race. I'll tell you what, next time when we're ready for the applause, I'll do this. All right. That'll be our little, just between us, our little cue. Let me talk to you about the winnable race aspect of this. You know, I used to have a boss who said, never pick a fight you can't win. And that's certainly true here. I mean, Phil and I bumped into each other in the 06 cycle. What a beating that was. You know, learned a lot. Don't need to relearn that, you know, learned a lot. So we wanted to be in this race because we thought it was essential to replace Kerry, but we wanted to make sure we could win it. So I did my own polling and I found out, wow, Jeff Beatty beats John Kerry if people just know who I am. But no one would believe my own polling, so I decided we'll go with the Zogby organization. The Zogby organization did a poll and said if people just know the basics about Jeff, he's in a virtual tie with John Kerry. That's good news. It so upset Kerry he tried to get Zogby to discredit their own poll. They wouldn't do it. So I want you to understand, this is a winnable race. We're already in a tie. So from this point forward, whoever works harder gets the win. In the time that we've been engaged in this, we have got almost 30,000, we're closing in on 30,000 individual donations to this campaign. At the end of this weekend, thanks to you, and if you want to help us make sure of it, we could thank you even more before you go, but I'm very confident that at the end of this weekend, on Monday, our reporting period closes and we have to then make our first report to the FEC. I'm very optimistic. With your help, we are going to be over $1 million already raised.